Hello, good day. My name is Divyani and today we are going to discuss about real-time Scrum Master interview questions. We are going to cover points such as Scrum implementation and team facilitation, stakeholder and product owner collaboration, Scrum events and continuous improvement, metrics and transparency, handling impediments and risks. First question we all come across is how do you handle a team member who is consistently not delivering committed work? We should answer in such a way that we cover all the points what we are going to discuss in Scrum. As a Scrum Master, I first reinforce Scrum values like openness and respect. I would have an open discussion, preferably during the retrospective, to identify the root cause, whether it's unclear backlog items, skill gaps, or external impediments. I act as a servant leader, helping the team remove impediments and encouraging pair programming or mentoring if needed. I remind the team that commitments are forecasts and the entire team is accountable for the sprint goal. Through coaching and facilitation, I help the team self-organize and support the member to improve delivery. Next, what will you do if the product owner keeps changing requirements mid-sprint? As per Scrum, once a sprint starts, no changes should be made that jeopardize the sprint goal. I would discuss with the product owner to understand the urgency. If it's not urgent, I request them to add it to the product backlog for future sprints. If the sprint goal becomes obsolete, the product owner has the right to cancel the sprint and we can replan. I also coach the PO, which is product owner, on how mid-sprint changes impact focus and predictability and encourage better backlog refinement to avoid such situations. Third, but very important question comes across is how do you coach a team that is new to Scrum and Agile practices? When coaching a team new to Scrum, I start by explaining Agile principles and the Scrum framework through workshops and interactive sessions. I clarify each role's accountability and guide them through initial sprints, helping them understand sprint planning, daily Scrum, and retrospectives. I focus on instilling Scrum values, which are openness, respect, and commitment, while encouraging transparency through well-managed backlogs and a clear definition of done. I act as a servant leader, asking powerful questions rather than dictating solutions, helping them become self-organizing. Over time, I use retrospectives to build a culture of continuous improvement and celebrate small successes to keep morale high. Next, what actions would you take if your team fails to meet the sprint goal repeatedly? If the team repeatedly fails to meet the sprint goal, I would first facilitate a retrospective to identify the root causes, whether it's overcommitment, unclear goals, or external blockers. I would coach the team to improve sprint planning by forecasting based on actual capacity and ensuring the sprint goal is clear and achievable. I would work with the product owner to refine backlog items and remove impediments impacting delivery. During daily scrums, I would encourage transparency and help the team adapt its plan to stay focused on the sprint goal. Over time, I would guide the team to inspect and adapt continuously, improving predictability and delivery confidence. Next, How do you deal with a situation where the team resists conducting retrospectives? That happens a lot, but we can deal with this situation. If the team resists retrospectives, I first explain their value as a tool for the team to improve its own work, not as a blame session. I focus on creating a safe environment where everyone feels respected and encourage openness by starting with small time boxed sessions. I make retrospectives engaging using different techniques and share examples of how past improvements benefited the team. Over time, as they see positive outcomes, resistance usually decreases and the team begins to own the process. Next, how do you ensure that daily scrum does not become a status meeting? I coach the team that the daily scrum is for them, not for reporting to me or management. Its purpose is to inspect progress towards the sprint goal and adapt plans. I encourage developers to facilitate it themselves and keep discussions focused on what's helping or blocking sprint goal progress rather than giving individual status updates. I also discourage stakeholders from asking for reports and use the sprint backlog as a visual aid to foster collaboration. Over time, the team self organizes, making the daily scrum a true planning and inspection event, not as a status meeting. How do you handle a conflict between developers and the product owner? This question is always asked. Here we can discuss like when there's a conflict between developers and the product owner, I first listen to understand the root cause. I facilitate an open discussion ensuring respect and transparency. I remind them of their accountabilities. The PO is product owner, decides what to build for maximum value. And developers decide how much can be done based on capacity. Using data like backlog refinement and velocity, I guide them to reach a shared solution focused on the product goal. My role is to coach and facilitate, not impose, ensuring the conflict turns into constructive collaboration. So, here, if you like the content, please like and share and subscribe to Neo Skills. Thank you.